Hello everybody, today on JM and Friends, I am attempting the truly impossible. David Copperfield don't got nothing on me. For in this episode, I am going to attempt to convince my supercar owning, car lowering, body kit fitting, sports car loving convert and diehard friend, Ant, to get into a Range Rover. That's the easy part. The difficult, the some might say so tricky Tom Cruise would call it unachievable, is to get him to like it. And to give myself the very best chance of achieving this some might say foolhardy goal, I've got this, a first generation Range Rover Sport. And under here, it's, some might say, one saving grace, a 5-litre supercharged V8. But will that be enough to convince the man? Let's find out.
Now, when you mentioned David Copperfield, I thought you were going to say you were going to make it disappear, which would have actually worked really well for me because I'd much rather be driving this, despite the weather. But you have mentioned that this has got a 5-litre V8 under the bonnet.
Supercharged V8.
Supercharged V8 with about 500 horsepower?
And 10.
510 horsepower.
460 odd pounds-feet of torque, that's 625 newton meters. Now, it does weigh a fair amount, but I recently got to drive one of these with the 3-litre turbo diesel, and I kind of liked it. So I'm thinking if there is any car that might convince you these are worth looking into, could be this one.
Well, the thing is, I have been thinking I need a daily because at the moment I've got 4 sports cars, well, 2 supercars, 2 sports cars, and none of them are very dailyable. So maybe this is something I should consider.
Yes, and it has a trump card, but I'm going to save that until you've sampled it. So I think, given the fact it's pretty miserable out here, why don't we get in there and hit the road?
Sounds like a plan. Let's go.
So for some context then, how much Land Rover and or Range Rover experience did you actually have before today?
0. Haven't even been a passenger in one.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Okay, blimey. I've now driven, I think, most of them, definitely not all of them, because there are a lot, but I've driven all bar the current generation of Range Rover. I've done 2 of the generations of Range Rover Sport, a whole bunch of Discos and all sorts of stuff. Now, for those who don't know, this is a Range Rover Sport, but it's the first generation Range Rover Sport, which was quite controversial when it launched because, unlike the later iterations, underneath here is not in fact a Range Rover at all. This is basically a Discovery 3 with a bit of extra dead cow and a rocket up its backside.
And it is a bit of a rocket. I had a chance to have a little bit of a go in it, and it has a bit of go. It has a bit of shove.
This engine is fantastic. Now, we've been loaned this and also an L405 full-fat Range Rover that I'm filming with and you might film with later by our good friend Christian over at Heel and Toe Cars, who's a lovely young lad that I've known for a few years now from when he was very, very new in business, and I'm delighted to see the fact he's been actually quite successful and made this his full-time job. Now, he loves these things, and I've been wanting to get one of these or something like it out of him for a long time. But the problem is, every time he gets one in, by the time I can organise a date to come and see him, it's sold. So we were super lucky to get this specific car. And when I knew that he had the supercharged one in, I thought, right, this, if any of them was going to work for you, this would be it. And that engine, I know you like the Jaguar XKR, or the concept of the XKR.
Yep.
We'll get you out that in at some point, and of course that car weighs like 3/4 of a ton less than this. But even in this, it's effective, makes not too bad a sound. Like when we were doing drive-bys earlier, I could certainly hear you coming.
Yeah.
And I knew what it was. Got a nice wooffle,
Yes.
I think is what I call it.
Yeah, that V8 rumble is what I'd like to call it, with a little supercharger whine to it.
Oh yes, and you will be delighted to know, by the way, out of the box, this supercharged 5-litre V8, 510 horsepower, 463 pounds-feet of torque. But there is a well-worn upgrade path to take this straight to 600 horses.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, because it's basically the same engine that they used the whole time. This is basically the Project 8 engine. Well, actually, I think it's fairer to say that the Project 8 has a version of this engine in it.
Yeah.
So 550 horsepower, more torque, everything. It's actually pretty easy. And of course, priorities, you can get it to sound evil should the mood take you.
And you know that mood will definitely take me. I am basically a teenager when it comes to my expectations of cars.
Now, back on the mothership, which is what I call the main channel, I did a review of one of these, but with the far more popular and common 3-litre V6 diesel engine. So if you want to know a little bit more about the specifics of it, the history of it, go and check it out. But in short, this is a very, very late kind of last model year, which means it's the second facelift, and really all that kind of brought was a few small changes, including Bluetooth audio, which for some people is quite a big thing today, which I totally get. This one, by the way, even has the fancy setup where I can see a different thing on this screen to you.
Huh?
Yeah, you press this little button and it's like a lenticular postcard.
Right.
So there's a tech where I can see the TV or something, but you as the driver can't.
Oh, that is very cool. I like that.
Very cool. The only problem is I do believe that can make it difficult to retrofit certain things to it because they're not compatible with it.
Right.
Otherwise, in here, I'd say it's a nice place to be, but it's nowhere near as fancy and luxurious as the full fat Range Rover that we've also been driving this morning. That's a much newer car, and it's a generation on, and it's a Range Rover.
It is a very, very different experience. And I actually have a reason to prefer this one and a reason to prefer that one. But we'll come back to that in a little bit. But I think another bit of context is that I notoriously really do not like any kind of SUV or any kind of high-seated vehicle like this. I always feel like I'm driving a bus. When we were driving from here to the location where we were filming the drive-bys, and when I got there, Jane said, "How's it been?" And I said, "I've been taking sailing lessons," because it feels like I'm sailing a yacht, not driving a car, compared to what I normally drive.
Yeah, well, you came up here in your R8 GT this morning, which even in the realm of supercars is fairly firm, fairly low slung, like it's pretty aggressive in the way that it's set up. So that's quite extreme,
Yes.
you know.
Not a fair comparison, obviously.
No, but unfortunately the one that you're almost inevitably going to make whether you do it consciously or not.
Yeah.
You've had a little bit of time behind the wheel. What were your first impressions?
My first impressions were, oh gosh, this is the most unengaging, boring driving experience I've ever had. And then something strange started to happen. I started to like it. I actually started to like it a little bit too much. And I really didn't expect this. There's a certain, I don't know, you're sitting up very high, you're literally looking down on everyone.
Oh, yes.
Not figuratively, but literally are looking down on everyone. And I can understand how, you know, at some point people's voices get a bit more gruff and start talking a bit like this and start being very pompous and looking down on everyone because of it. I was just having a laugh on my way down, talking to myself in a very silly voice.
See, now, we've both been driving both of the cars this morning, and one thing I did have to say that I noticed when I jumped out of the full fat L405 into this is the fact that this does actually feel reasonably compact.
It does.
By modern SUV standards, it's not actually massive.
No. It's got plenty of storage in the back though.
Yeah, loads. You can sit in the back pretty comfortably. Again, it's not enormous, but it's got all the space that you would need. It's missing a few of your Range Rover creature comforts like the split folding tailgate, your twin sun visors, but it does still have 2 glove boxes, which is nice. You've got, of course, standard fit air ride, which I know you were tarting around with earlier. You've got your terrain response down here, should you do some off-roading. Why don't I put it in dynamic mode for you?
Oh, go on then.
It is now.
Oh,
and then if you want to change the gear settings, you've got to move the lever over to the left. But let's get into the national speed limit and then you can have a little bit of fun. Okay, so you were in special programs off, and then I'll put it in dynamic, and that will basically firm up the suspension. I think it might have adaptive anti-roll bars. Don't quote me on that.
I thought that button was to disable traction control. That's what I thought that was.
No. That's that button down there.
Let's not press that one.
No, don't press that one.
Oh, the firmer suspension is much better.
Like that.
I like this. I didn't even know it had that feature.
Yeah.
I've been driving it around, wallowing around, not know it. Oh, hello.
Right.
Hello. I was expecting it to roll way more than that.
That's the thing about these cars. When you're doing the normal drive around 20-30 mile an hour, you're kind of like, I don't get it. I don't really see what the fuss is about. And then you go to do the most inappropriate thing, put it in sport, go and have some fun. And all of a sudden, It works.
Do you know what? I could do this.
Right? Now just remember there's a lot more car to stop.
Yeah, that's fine. Oh, I really do like the supercharger whine there.
Yeah. The 4.2s have a lot more whine in them. Apparently customers complained, ironically they whined about it, and so they changed it. For the 5 litre you don't get as much, but if you tart around with the air intake and system and that, you can get a bit more of that noise out of it. It's a very well known engine, maybe not quite as durable as the 4.2, but still a very, very good thing. Certainly far more durable than the V6 diesel, which is sadly notorious for snapping its crank.
Oh, that's not good.
No, these far, far better. And like I say, if you want more out of it, you can get more. And considering you're currently driving a 2.5 ton car.
Yeah, I'm actually genuinely surprised.
Right?
I am genuinely surprised by how it's handling. It's doing well. I'm starting to understand the appeal of these cars.
Okay. They're not perfect cars, of course. We've had to fill it up once this morning already, and I probably underestimated how much we were going to use, because I think I'm going to use it for a video of my own as well. I wasn't going to originally, but I kind of like it a lot as well. They also will probably at some point go wrong. It is a Range Rover after all, and though bits are available, sometimes it can take a while to get them, longer than it really should do, considering we live in the country where they're made. But there's plenty of independents out there, plenty of specialists who can look after these things and do so at a better price than a main dealer. Thing is though, there is one piece of information about this car I deliberately did not give you.
Oh, what was that?
The price.
Oh.
This exact car, currently up for sale at Heel and Toe Cars, my friend Christian, £5 short of 11 grand.
Get out of here.
10,995.
I have a car that I haven't actually shared with you yet that will be coming soon. I could literally swap them.
They would swap.
I'm starting to have ideas. I don't like you, James. Like, this is the thing. Like, whenever you introduce me to a car, I end up spending money.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I'm going to be poor.
And the other thing is as well, okay, we were talking about this off camera. I know, look, you love the GT, and like me, I spent the whole day on Sunday driving my Ferrari 550, a 30-year-old Italian supercar, around in torrential rain, just because, unfortunately, it was the most sensible thing I had access to at the time. But I still enjoyed it. I still had a good time, but I certainly wasn't getting the best out of the car. However, having now had over time a mixture of both special and not so special cars on the driveway, having something like this, which will go anywhere, do anything, whenever you tell it to, you don't have to worry about what the parking's going to be like when you get there, because it's a Range Rover. Guess what? You park it anywhere you like.
Yeah.
Okay? You don't worry about scratching it. People are worried about you.
Yeah.
You go to a junction and people will stop when it's their right of way. These cars have a lot going for them. And by driving this as your sort of daily, means you don't drive your other cars quite so often, which might seem like a negative, except when you then do decide to reach for the Audi keys or the Lamborghini keys, they feel even better. I mean, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love taking out the Ferraris. We obviously took the Scuderia over to Andorra, got the F12 currently in storage, and I haven't even driven that car this year, but I know when I do come to drive it that it will feel just even better. It's like dining at your favourite restaurant every single day. It's still good, but you only realise how good it is when you go to the 1-star hygiene rating next door that, you know, killed its last 5 out of 6 customers. You've changed. Something tells me that you're warming to this car.
What? I don't know what you're talking about. Everything's fine.
If you buy a gun and a dog...
Already been on Amazon and ordered it. I'm pretty sure you can't get dogs on Amazon yet.
No.
Not yet.
No.
I am actually quite warming to this car. I'm actually quite surprised. Like, I think you must know me very well. I've almost rejected all SUVs on principle because I really genuinely don't like sitting high up. I think a lot of that is because I associate that with lots of body roll and wafting around. But this car isn't like that. This is something else. I mean, I think if I was going to get some sort of daily, I think I'd prefer maybe, I don't know, a saloon of some description.
Yeah, I think the big problem is that I really love an estate.
Yeah.
But over the last few years, spicy estates have kind of become pretty few and far between.
Yeah.
Really, if you want one of those, it's going to have to be either a hot Merc or an Audi RS4 or RS6.
Yeah.
They command pretty big money. They're probably going to be just as costly to run as one of these. You're going to have the same concerns about insurance and the like, and that would be a potential issue for you for sure. Although, that being said, one of the things that the owner of the previous Sport that I drove liked about it is the fact that the insurance quote for the Range Rover Sport was a third the quote for an equivalent Range Rover.
Wow. Now, speaking of insurance, I think we do need to address the elephant in the room, which is don't these get stolen quite a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would worry me.
Yeah, but just park it in with the Lambo. It'll be fine. However, there are certainly plenty of things that you can do to prevent that from happening, and I've actually seen a real resurgence in not just these, but with a lot of cars, in old school 1980s car security techniques. The disc lock is back.
Yep. I've seen a lot of those lately.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, if people can get in the car, that's one thing, but if they can't move the wheel, not much that they can do. If anything, these being a much older and less technologically advanced car, there are fewer ways to steal these than some of the much more modern stuff.
That's very true, because these proximity keys and the like that people very easily nick. I mean, I always store my keys in a Faraday cage safe as well, so you know, I'm less concerned about things like that. But you know, there's always going to be those times where you come home, you put the keys down for a few minutes, you never know.
No.
But look, putting that to one side, I'm surprised. I almost dislike SUVs on principle. I'm still not a huge fan of sitting this high up. I still feel a bit like I'm driving a bus rather than a car.
But I think what you've now managed to sample is what I have when I drive these. Look, for sure, when you're hustling this, you think you're going a lot quicker than you are. You look down, you realise you're only just about doing the national speed limit.
Yeah.
But that, in a lot of ways, is a very good thing.
Yeah.
Instead, I get the enjoyment out of it. Like Sir Jeremiah Clarkson once said with regards to the Bentley Brooklands, you don't criticise it for how it does these things. You love it for the fact that it can do it at all.
Yeah.
And you can drive this in the same sort of way as you would an old hot hatch, which it has no right to do. In fact,
No.
I love the fact it's got all-season tyres on, because it's probably giving us more grip on a day like today. And then when it's dry, if the mood so takes you, it'll also be a little bit more playful and at lower speeds and not be too aggressive. You don't want to put Cup 2s on something like this.
Obviously not. Obviously not. My big challenge with any daily, however, is I don't use a car daily. The few times when I am driving a car on a regular basis is usually because I'm on my way to film with it.
Yep.
And there was 2 days in a row where I actually needed to just get somewhere. But then there probably won't be another day where I just need to get somewhere where it isn't about going to a car meet. I'm not taking this to a car meet. I'm going to take one of the other cars.
But you could almost look at this as the most fun project ever. You could make the Rage Rover.
The Rage Rover.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, now I'm starting.
Come on.
Now I'm starting to get sold on it. 600 horsepower.
Yeah.
Got to figure out some way to get this air suspension to lower itself even lower.
I know the guys that can do all of this.
Ah, man.
This is the other benefit about having a car like this, which is a very well-known, well-developed and well-understood platform. Anything you can think of, somebody else has probably thought of it, and there's a way to do it.
Ah, James, why do you do this to me? Why do you do this to me?
First drive of a Range Rover? Great success.
Great success.
Great success.
I actually, look, I mean, having been in both cars so far, the other car's interior, the later car's interior is obviously much nicer.
Yeah, there's no competition at all.
But it is way waftier when you're driving down the road, and I actually prefer driving this, but I prefer being in that, if it makes sense. So if I had a chauffeur, that would be the car that I'd want.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm actually having to get from point A to point B in a thing, while I'm actually driving it, this would be the one.
And though in theory what I would want to say is, we need to get you in a second generation Range Rover Sport, preferably an SVR.
Ooh.
By the time you're talking about one of those, the amount of money you're discussing has gone up by so much. I know there would be 10 other cars you would rather have instead. But at this price point, it's an amount that you can't exactly ignore. It's still £11,000. It's still a lot of cash, but it's not like you'd look at it every day thinking you could be a Ferrari or you could be a GT3 or something like that.
No.
You wouldn't begrudge it.
No, I wouldn't at all. And I'm guessing that, okay, even if I put some miles on it, I'm probably not going to lose a huge amount of money on it.
No, like you already said, you don't do masses of miles in a year, so you're not really going to depreciate it, and the cost of the fuel is not going to be too much of an issue. If you were doing 20,000 miles a year, this wouldn't be the car that I'd recommend.
Nah.
Instead, you like the smiles per mile.
Yes.
And this punches above its weight.
It definitely does. So James, honestly, you have surprised me. I didn't expect to like this car at all. And up until this point, before you pressed that magic button there, I really genuinely wasn't 100% sure about it. But after you press that button, and I've experienced the handling on this car, it shouldn't be able to go round corners the way that it goes round corners. I mean, I'm behind this Mercedes C-Class and they're tiptoeing around the corners, and I'm feeling like I don't need to. I can just go straight in, no brake on this corner, even though they hit the brakes, come out, and it was effortless. It shouldn't be possible.
As somebody once said to me, you've never seen a hippo as a ballerina until you've seen one of these being driven hard. Paraphrasing terribly there, but that does summarise this.
Yeah.
The feel, the engine, the response to this engine, in fact, I think really does make the car for me. But yeah, there we go.
My verdict is, surprisingly, I really like it. And I might think about getting one of these at some point.
If you've been enjoying our content, well, good news, we've now got a podcast. It's called The Radiator Arms, and it features myself and our good buddy Will, in which we discuss all things car and other related. We've been enjoying making it, and we would love it if you would join us. It's hosted here on the JM and Friends channel, as well as all of your usual audio-only sources like Spotify, Amazon Music, and even begrudgingly, Apple too. For more information on that, please check out the links in the description down below.
I do have to say very much thank you to Christian at Heel and Toe Cars. Check them out on Instagram. They've got some really cool cars there in a price range that's affordable across a bunch of different budgets, and I genuinely love the guys there. They're such friendly people, and Christian's story is actually quite inspiring, how he's been very entrepreneurial and built this business from the ground up. So respect. Well, if you want to see James's full impression on this car, make sure you check that out on the JM on Cars channel. And if you want to see another Range Rover video here where I'm going to test out the L405, then make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell icon.
Yep.
And I think that just about wraps it up, James.
That is. We'll see you for the next one. Bye-bye.